Danny Kelly is also the host of the View from the Lane podcast, and he's just recorded it. So if you want him off his really long run, tune into that. But let's have a bite-sized one. Good afternoon, Danny.
Hello, chaps. Hello, everybody.
The word unacceptable keeps coming up after the Arsenal game, after the Liverpool game, whether it's Sonny saying it or Maddison saying it. They always seem to say that performance was unacceptable. Yet they go out again and seem to accept it.
Yes, if you don't change something, you can start at the top, the ownership or the playing staff or the manager, you are accepting it. So the word unacceptable is itself unacceptable. It was ludicrous. And I've got a great deal of sympathy for Ange Postecoglou with the injury crisis, which is unprecedented at Spurs. Although, there are sports scientists who say the way they play and train may be contributing to it. But having said that it'll never change, to suddenly change at Everton and to come up with a scheme that, we on the View from the Lane little WhatsApp group we have, saying, how does this team line up? None of us, none. The other people are real experts. No, it's not just me ranting and raving. Came up with a back three. Because why would you do that to Archie Gray? He's already done sterling work. An 18-year-old playing out of position in a back four, suddenly asking to play out of position in another kind of setup altogether. And he was hideously exposed by the whole thing. I thought that was almost negligent. I've got to be honest. The players aren't helping either. They're exhausted. They're also... Troy was pretty open there about some of them that he thinks are not necessarily...
He thinks they were glad to get off the pitch, some of them, and looking to get off the pitch, which is pretty damning from a fellow pro, actually.
I should have an honourable mention, though. I think he's maintained his form.
Yeah, he's working hard. He is completely flogged. You can see that, certainly. And we've seen Solanke pick up a knee injury probably for the same reasons.
Let me ask you, you watch the same club as I do, 8th biggest revenue in the world... the biggest gap between their revenue and their wage bill of any team in the top 20 richest clubs in the world.
Yeah.
And here we are, 10 days from the end, or actually 14 days away from the end of the transfer window. Still no outfield players brought to help a struggling squad.
Because they're doing what they're always doing. They're waiting to the very last minute so they can get £500,000 off the loan fee. That's what always happens. Pedro Porro 2 years ago was ready to sign. It looked like he was ready to sign on January the 1st. He signed at 5 to 11 on January the 31st. It tells you all you need to know. It's the Tottenham hierarchy playbook. So I think we have to live with it, Danny.
If you're on the verge of the relegation zone and you're down to 12 with Richarlison now, 12 fit first-team players, won't teams who you come to, they'll know the situation you're in. They'll first take your trousers down and then they'll steal your underpants. There's no bargain to be had here.
Look, as I said,
he has spent 50 million on Johnson, 65 million on Solanke, 60-odd million on Richarlison. It's not like they've bought nobody, and they bought Betancourt, and they bought Gray.
But I mean, you'd expect a team with that kind of spending power to spend money.
You would.
What they haven't maybe done is bought the sort of players that could make the vast differences they need to catch up to be one of the top teams. They lucked out with Kane and Dele a little period of time when they should have built on that, and they didn't build on that, and the hierarchy didn't build on that. They thought somehow that Pochettino would get them through it all and he'd find another way to get...
That was his biggest error, not backing Poch.
That was the moment that they absolutely blew it. And if you got...
Paul, I said this on the pod very quick, because I know you want to talk about Everton and other matches too. They absolutely lucked into Harry Kane and Dele Alli, and a world-class back four that cost nothing. And they thought they were geniuses, and they thought this would happen all the time. It doesn't happen like that. They were lucky then, enjoy the luck, and back the club from there on in. It's all been allowed to drift away.
Everton, a great result for them. A lot of confidence for Calvert-Lewin. So we were. I mean, this is the thing. Dr. Tottenham, Spurs here, all Spurs fans. Oh, I hate those terms. Well, stop living up to them then. Constantly.
Yes, well, we've now promoted them from Dr. Tottenham to Mr.
They
Tottenham.
Are Mr.
They're
Tottenham.
Consultants now,
that's right. They are indeed consultants. They are
the second goal was too easy.
They are the top of their trade. But, I mean, again, I think I was talking to a mate of mine who's an Evertonian, and he said, I'm not really judging the fact that we're back or not based on playing Spurs, which is pretty damning.
A chilling indictment of where Spurs are just now, isn't it?
It is.
Let's have a look at our next game there. Where are we going to go next? We're going to go to, oh, blimey, sorry, Ipswich fans, Ipswich 0, Manchester City 6, brackets, SIX, close brackets.
How did we lose to this shower?
That was close, looking at it. I just wonder how damning that's going to be for Ipswich, because no one's really given him a shoeing like that. They've always done their best to compete, more or less, but that must have been pretty sobering for them in their effort to stay up.
Well, it could have been worse. Let's be truthful. Manchester City got their 6 goals in 42 minutes. If they started quicker and hadn't declared, that could have been even worse. Do you know what? I think, Paul, you're onto something there. I think it's both the cause and the effect it's going to have. I suspect that Ipswich have been so involved in so many really tight games and have strained every nerve and sinew. I wonder if they're mentally tired from the effort, not physically tired, but mentally tired from the effort of the Premier League. Then you get an absolute whacking like this. And unless you're a very brave set of human beings, instead of saying, well, that could happen, let's reset, it's more likely you'll become even more exhausted mentally from the effort, what you're trying to do with, compared to Manchester City, inadequate resources. It was a proper hammering. And, of course, the return of Ruben Diaz is important there because, Liam Delap has been such invisible in the game. You're right to point out, for Ipswich, this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. They've been so resilient, if not brilliant so far, but that's a result that will make even the best teams come off their form.
Yeah, it's a big game for City next up. I mean, they've got Chelsea on Saturday.
At your place, yeah?
No, at the Saturday tea time. They've got a big game in Paris on Wednesday night. So not
huge game, monstrous.
But it won't mean if they win in Paris and they're playing well, they'll beat Chelsea. If they lose and get an Evers, then possibly Chelsea.
Yeah, Troy and Andy both thinking that they're going to be the main rivals to Liverpool in this run-in. They think 12 points and 15 goals is made. Well,
they're
not
the ones that
completely
can go on a sort of unbeaten 12 game run, aren't they?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
They can, but it looks like they might also be trying to integrate a whole lot of new players, possibly 4, possibly 5, although the 2 centre-backs are both kind of prospects for the future. Yes, I understand why watching the runs they've been on in previous seasons, you might think that. I still think there's a little bit to do there.
Forest 3, Southampton 2.
Forest are brilliant, there's no question about it. They've done fantastically well. But do you know that this is an interesting stat about them? And if you play Portuguese counter-attacking football, this is a vital stat. They've opened the scoring 18 times out of 22 games.
Yeah.
That makes a difference.
Yeah, that is pretty key to what they do. I mean, it felt quite uncharacteristic that having got 3-0 up, they were pegged back. And Ola Aina's brilliant goal line clearance stopped it being a draw. But it was
another Chelsea fullback who plays for somebody else.
Yes, I know you. It's like a dagger to the heart every time.
What
one
a player he is, by the way.
Lewis Hall, Livramento. What a team of Chelsea rejects you could put together. Yeah, blimey, what a team. But but they saw it out, and good performance.
Look, I think the general consensus, these are Southampton's players are not. Southampton's team is not up to the Premier League, but they're all quality professional footballers who train every day and all the rest of it. There's nothing more enjoyable than playing without pressure. When you're 3-0 down and you're going down, you might as well pass the ball, make the runs that count. And yes, they did get back into the game, but I bet you if it got to 3-3, they would have conceded a 4th. That's my feeling about that, because that's just a place where Southampton are in.
They've done so much better in the last 2 games. You have to give them a bit of credit.
Yeah, it's probably too little, too late. So many players could benefit from the fresh eyes of Thomas Tuchel, who's not coming in with any bias about teams or players. He's just looking at matches. And if he's looking at Elliot Anderson, he's going to be in his first squad.
Straight into the squad. Absolutely. Why? England are pretty blessed with footballers, except maybe you could argue a centre-back. But you're right, on form. If he picks it on form, then Anderson will probably have to get a game, won't he? Or at least be in the squad.
Well, we saw those years ago with Sven and old mate Chris Powell. Sometimes it takes a coach to say, that guy should be in my squad. He's a really good player. The fact he plays for Charlton or whoever, or he's not been in the squad before, really shouldn't matter.
Also, the England manager can do a great service to the Premier League by announcing one player from a club that's not traditionally providing 7 or 8 England players, because it boosts all the other English players throughout the league to say, look, you can do this.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.